What? Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores brings you Garage Logic Podcast number 1248, Feb 19, 2024. 59 degrees on this day in 2017. In 2017 will pop up now a few times. We must have had a warm spring.
It was a warm spring.
I'm not remembering it that well. And 20 below on two occasions, 1929 and 1941.
Oops. I am so sorry. I apologize. I have a video playing right now, so just give me a brief moment.
Did the show start?
It did. Why am I playing a video? And I'm going to play the theme instead because that's more interesting.
Hail the Flashlight King.
Hail you!
Great start,
now,
Reavers.
from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake.
See this, Council?
It's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Hyde in the newsroom, and of course, the rookie. Here is your Flashlight King, Fireworks Commissioner, and the Keeper of Common Sense, your mayor, Joe Souchere.
May I read the following from a fellow named Luke Miller? Hello, Joe. I've been a long-time listener ever since I was a young boy in the 90s, listening to you on the radio with my dad on his various construction sites, helping pick up nails or carry lumber for him. I'm a co-worker of Adam Finseth, the fire medic killed this weekend, and work closely with the two officers killed as well. I just wanted to share with you a few observations over the last 24 hours. They often speak of brotherhood in the fire service and on the police force, and in these times of moral and ethical decay, that feels all the more true. Not only do we find ourselves isolated from the normies of civilian life as we see the darkest side of man on a daily basis, but we are also on an island of our own as time and time again mentally deranged, serial abusers, drug and alcohol addicts are spun out back onto the street from jails and hospitals in a matter of hours. Our society seems hell-bent on making our streets and our neighborhoods less safe. The system is broken. DAs and prosecutors failing to charge properly. Mental health beds and facilities operating on bare bones. We are fighting a losing battle. But there are still men and women putting on their uniform every day and fighting the good fight, facing the evils of this world head on. Seeing all the police officers and firefighters come together today gave me a ray of hope. The brotherhood is strong. These people are truly heroes, and it is an honor to stand alongside them. As difficult as today has been, obviously written yesterday, it was an overwhelming expression of support to see every overpass full of fellow firefighters, paramedics, law enforcement, and civilians standing at attention and holding American flags as we drove our fallen brothers away from the hospital. We felt the love and we saw the glimmer of humanity that is still in all of us. I ask for your prayers for the little ones without a father, the wives who are now widows, and the countless broken hearts and lives. Please pray for all the police officers and firefighters who lost their brothers today. God bless you all. Luke Miller.
Wow. What an email.
Yeah, that was quite an event yesterday. And we don't know enough. For my taste, we don't know enough. We have not officially released the name of the dead bad guy. I'm clinging to the idea that name has not been released due to some important factors, and the best we can come up with based on our pregame talking to each other was John noting in the news stories that an autopsy will be conducted on the dead bad guy, and that presumably is to determine if he did in fact shoot himself or was shot. I don't know what that has to do with not releasing his name.
The Star Tribune, John and I were discussing, I don't think you had your headphones on. The Star Tribune has now said that they have confirmed it is a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Okay, then I don't, I'm running out of patience as a consumer of news to wonder why the delay in naming the fellow.
Does the timing have anything to do with it?
I don't understand.
Sunday morning. I'm just trying to think of what other reasons there could possibly be.
Well, there's Sunday morning has nothing to do with it.
You mean a shorter staff or something like that?
I don't know.
No. It has nothing to do with it. Both conventional newspapers in town and all four, if you want to count four, why not count nine? All four television stations in town were fully staffed on this story. It commanded significant attention, as it should, and no one as yet to confirm the name. Ofthe News
I was just
has.
say there is one outlet locally that has.
But I don't know where they got it, and I don't go by Twitter, although I saw his name on Alpha's Twitter account.
Yeah.
Well, sorry about that. I didn't realize my microphone was on. I've been listening to the scanner call from that night, and I haven't heard his name mentioned yet. But that might be how they this Twitter account got the name of the alleged bad guy.
Well, we do know that a bad guy, that a domestic call was placed to the police about 2 a.m. Sunday morning, and we do know that 2 coppers were the first to arrive and a paramedic. And we do know that there were 7 kids in the house, aged 2 to 15. Was there a mom in the house or a woman? I don't know. There's a lot I don't know. There was a mom.
They did say there was a woman and 7 children was the way I saw it.
And we pretty much have to respect the Burnsville Police Department and wait for them to release the name, and they'll give us a reason why.
Well, the BCA has taken over the case, though, so it won't be up to Burnsville. It'll be up to the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension.
You understand my point.
Yeah, I do. But it's the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension that presumably would be the one to release his name. You have it? You can read it. I don't have it in front of me. It's on my phone. And my phone must be in the other room.
I do have it right here. Shannon, is it Gooden? Gooden.
Yeah.
38 years old.
And that's all I know.
Yeah, okay. I wasn't going to say the next part, but that's fine.
Well, let the authorities confirm it all, and then we can begin to speculate about him and his behavior and his history. And
also, according to Ofthe News, he reportedly petitioned to have his gun rights restored back in 2020 and does have a 2008 felony assault conviction, according to Ofthe News.
I saw that, but was that petition denied?
That I don't know, Kenny. I'm sorry.
So we don't know if he held those guns legally or not.
Correct. We do not know that.
All right.
Well, if we just enforce the gun laws we have, we'd cut down on a lot of problems. And if prosecutors and DAs would put people in jail, we'd cut down on a lot of problems.
Do you think, though, that a lot of people understand that this is probably a guy that shouldn't have been out?
We don't know that.
Well, okay, you're right.
We don't know that. Although if I'm surprised, well, maybe they did. Reporters on this scene should have been hounding people for the name of the dead guy. Maybe they did, but it's not even mentioned in the stories I read that authorities refused to name the identity of the. I didn't even see that line. It was just glossed over. There was nothing about it.
But this is further indication that the spiral continues to happen right in front of us, right?
What spiral?
The moral and ethical integrity of not only this country, Burnsville, Minnesota.
Well, if this didn't happen yesterday in Burnsville, it would have happened in Omaha or Baton Rouge. It would have happened somewhere. This is not, unfortunately, this has become too common.
What do you hope to solve or get resolved? What question do you want answered by the naming of the guy?
To then pursue his history and find out if he, in fact, should not have been among us.
Gotcha.
I'm going to take a drink of water.
Okay. Hydration is key.
Mm-hmm.
I was speaking to a couple of police officers yesterday. One of them was involved indirectly with this particular situation. And the common discussion point we were having is, what in the hell are police forces going to look like here in 10 years? Because I continue to say, and I've been saying this for a number of years, you're going to keep getting the cops that we do want that are going to say, bleep this. I don't want to deal with it.
Well, I can
anymore.
take you down a darker road, which I no longer hesitate to do because the country's falling apart faster than I can imagine. But you won't have a police force in 10 years. You'll have an ideological state force to enforce ideology. They wear some sort of uniforms that mimic the new meaningless state flag, and they'll wander around and they'll be enforcing ideology. If this keeps up, you can't. This current divide that we have, we've been talking about it. We got onto something late last week. This current divide in people behaving and then people watching the world just unfold in front of them in ridiculous ways, particularly in Minnesota with this ridiculous legislative makeup. It cannot hold. It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. And if it doesn't get turned around, and if the people of Minnesota continue to like this and to continue to elect these crackpots, then you won't have cops. You'll have some sort of state ideological enforcement agency to make sure you're towing the line on DEI and gender acknowledgement and whatever you want to plug in there. And crime will be like it is in Russia. It won't exist. You shoot 5 people, but that didn't happen. That won't be in the news. That doesn't happen. There won't be any crime. There won't be any crime because the state ideological enforcement force is telling you that there's no crime. Now, that's as dark as I'm going to get for the moment. I can go darker, but all of us have decided that we're no longer afraid of the black helicopter. It's in view, and once in a while we get on it.
One of the go ahead, Kenny. I'm sorry.
I disagree with Joe, but that's just being me for once being optimistic.
Good.
I'm just hope that it'll never come to that.
Well, obviously,
I really want to tell you that you're absurd and you're wrong and you're being insane. But like you said,
Save it for another day.
The saddest part about this
no, I'm not going to say that because more and more and more we're seeing things that we once thought absurd coming true.
And that's what I was
like
about to
Sue
say,
said.
Ken, because what the saddest part about all of this, and everyone, I think we're all thinking the same thing, is nothing shocks us anymore. This wasn't shocking to me anyway. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but that's really sad.
Well, I have a note on the reckoning from Rick in Stillwater. Listening to the podcast last week, you repeated the idea that at some point a reckoning must occur. I kept thinking of the following quote attributed to Ayn Rand. You can avoid reality, but you cannot avoid the consequences of avoiding reality. Of course, this does not hold true for those who live on the third rail. For this category of human being, the consequences are avoided, largely by transferring the consequences to the rest of us, which reminds me of another quote from the great Thomas Sowell. It is hard to imagine a more stupid or more dangerous way of making decisions than by putting those decisions in the hands of people who pay no price for being wrong. For the citizens of Gumption County, the challenge is to force those making the decisions to pay the price. Amen, Brother Rick. Amen. Now, speaking of reality, Governor Walz appeared yesterday as was expected. A governor should appear in a situation that grim, but he strikes me as terribly awkward when he has to face reality.
Meaning what? His demeanor?
His rote response to the tragedy as it involves the police officers. He seems awkward. I mean, let's face it. He's on the side of the group that views law enforcement darkly. And he did exactly what he had to do. But it strikes me as it was difficult for him. Not difficult for him, just awkward.
Pandering and absurd, if you ask me. And I really don't need to hear anything from Mary about anything, especially anything involving police or law enforcement. That's an insult.
Apparently,
So shut your mouth.
Yep.
Mary Morreality tweeted her condolences, and she was pretty much taken to task.
Yeah, it was noticed by a number of people.
By other people commenting. But again, that's the Twitter world, and I don't go there.
You know.
Well, that's where we are in life, Joe.
I know, and it's very disappointing. It's very disappointing.
Yeah, I know, but you have to face reality eventually.
Well, no, Mary does. And Mary, you better read those because you're not held in high
But
esteem.
the likes of Mary, the likes of Walls, they have to wake up and realize what is happening here. Was it the Louisiana governor late last week? He declared a state of emergency because they don't have enough cops and crime is absolutely out of control.
When you have a mystery that is enforcing the idea that we are oppressors or oppressed, and you want to bring about the mystery by creating a different country, the very idea of law enforcement is among the first dynamics of, let's call it, the old way of life in the United States that will take a hit. Because if you are subjected to law enforcement, you're merely being oppressed by the oppressor class. And that's what these people want to get rid of. And then you have a tragedy like yesterday in Burnsville, and there's just enough of the old ways still hanging on, still enough of the formula in place where, cops have to appear. Sometimes they get shot. We're going to arrest this guy. Well, this guy's dead. And we're going to play this out and see what happens. And the governor shows up, and the mayor and the district attorney say what they should say. But we've all grown to believe that we don't believe them. We know what they're really up to, and they're going through the motions because it's just the last vestiges of law enforcement as we once knew it are still evident and still have to be used. But with each passing year, the more we're going to elect crackpots, the more that's going to disappear. Mm-hmm. And so a few years from now, the only people there won't be any, you won't know about what happened in Burnsville because we won't have crime. You won't know about it.
Well,
and the ideological enforcement force will be there to address it. I know that sounds ridiculous, over the top, and silly. But somebody tell me why that's not plausible the way we're headed.
I can't
do it.
Can't argue.
And but anyway, as we applied the 48, 72-hour rule to this story in Burnsville, and there's much to know. I'm curious about the 7 kids. Were they all one big family? I don't know anything about them. I'm glad they're safe. It seemed to me that just interviewing the people in the neighborhood, nobody seemed to really know the people.
I think that's fairly common, though.
I disagree. Don't you know the people in your neighborhood?
In my cul-de-sac, I know half of the families well. The other half I don't know at all.
Yeah, we knew about half.
I know. I know. Okay, it's a small area. 1
over there on Main.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I know at least half.
Okay.
I know at least half.
Why are you disagreeing with us?
What point are we proving here?
I don't know what we're proving. We're not proving anything.
All right.
We're proving that my garage.
So this was one of the 50% of the people they didn't know.
I guess. I'm unfamiliar with that. Well, I'm pretty much unfamiliar with Burnsville as a neighborhood. I don't hang out on the neighborhoods of Burnsville. I'm fairly unfamiliar with where this is.
Burnsville and Bloomington are starting to experience a lot of problems. Let's put it that way.
Well, so is Woodbury. So is Stillwater. So is anything.
Just take that for what you will.
I remember when we went to play Burnsville back in the prehistoric days.
Yeah.
Of either hockey or being in a band.
Brother bus to get the bus.
There was a place in Burnsville called the Prison.
Ooh.
and it was
Quite fitting.
well, but it was very popular in the day. But going to Burnsville, it was like we were going to Iowa.
Yeah, there's a
For
hike.
God's sake, it's not that far away.
Oh, back then it was. We used to play a place out on 494 called the Barn. Is it 494? Yeah. Way out there. Might as well have been in South Dakota.
Way out.
No, it's not that far away.